Hi, I'm Joey from Simon Solutions. During the next few minutes, we'll take you through the features of Oasis Insight Basic and share with you how this may serve you working from a client case management dynamic within your agency or the food bank. Oasis Insight is an easy-to-use web-based service that incorporates the highest of technology standards and is HIPAA compliant. During the next few minutes, we'll instruct you as to how that you may use Oasis Insight in your work. To do so, I'd like to introduce you now to Kyle. Kyle?
Hello, my name is Kyle Minkler, and I'm a member of the Oasis Insight support team. And I very much appreciate your time today to learn a little bit more about Oasis Insight. My goal is to take you through the system, demonstrate all of the features, and show how Oasis Insight can work for you. Here today, we're going to be logging into a demo site. Everything you see here in the demo site is bogus. You don't have to worry about seeing any real client information, but hopefully this will help to paint the picture as to how Oasis can be used. Oasis Insight is a web-based tool, so what you'll need to access the system is a computer with an internet connection and an up-to-date web browser. You'll see that we're using a web browser today called Mozilla Firefox, but you could use any modern up-to-date web browser, maybe Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Safari. Any of those will work as long as they're up to date. We take security and client confidentiality very seriously here at Oasis Insight. It is our livelihood, and we want to start off by saying that all of the information that you enter into Oasis Insight is secure. We employ a lot of the same security methods used with online banking. Everything that's entered into Oasis Insight is encrypted as it's sent across the internet, and also encrypted at rest on the cloud-based servers. That encryption is industry standard, and we are always improving our security to make sure Oasis is as secure as it can be. In addition to that, each person that accesses Oasis Insight must do so using your own unique login credentials. Every person will have to use their own email address and password combination. There's no sharing of login information. The reason for this is we want to preserve the integrity of the database. If any information is entered in by you, we want it to be connected with you. So we could go back and ask a question. Your food bank staff could see who added that information and when, and see a date and time stamp on anything that was entered into the system. You'll be provided your login credentials by the food bank staff. Your food bank is the network administrator. A network administrator can grant access to any partner agencies that they wish to have access to the system. When you're granted access, an email will be sent to you, which you can click and set up your login credentials at that time. If you're an administrator for your agency, as we'll see shortly, you can add additional agents from your agency to log in alongside you. But please note that they can't use your login information. You'll have to give them their own login credentials by adding them under the My Agency tab. Your Oasis Insight login screen is located at a very secure site, something.oasisinsight.net. You'll go to that web address and enter in your email address and password to access the system. At this time, I'm going to log into the Oasis Insight site using my email address and password. The first time you log into the system, you will be asked to agree to the Oasis Insight Terms of Service. You can feel free to click the Terms of Service link to open those up in a new tab or a new window. Once you review those terms, enter in your initials, and then click the Agree and Continue button. Now, here on the screen is what we'll see when we first log into Oasis. Up in the top left corner, you'll see your name and then the agency that you belong to in yellow lettering. Over on the left, there's a couple buttons, Search and Add New Case. These are the main features of the system. You also might see another button called Barcode Mode on the left. We'll explore barcode mode a little bit later. And then in the top right corner, there's a few colored tabs, Home, My Agency, and Agencies. We tried to make Oasis as straightforward and easy to follow as possible. You'll see these colored tabs and these large buttons throughout the system. We hope you find those to be straightforward. Let's begin by looking at the Home tab in the top right. The Home tab is the first screen you see when you log in. At the top, you'll see a community dashboard, and then below that, there's a bulletin board area. The community dashboard at the top of the screen is going to show you the daily impact that your agency and all the other agencies on your food bank network are having on your neighbors, on those clients that you're serving day in and day out by your pantry and your program. The total number of people served will be represented here as this first number on the dashboard. Also, the number of assistance records. Every time you assist a client with a box of food or a distribution from your food pantry, TFAP box, CSFP box, whatever type of assistance that's provided, that's counted as one assistance record here on the dashboard. If any of those assistance records are associated with a dollar amount, the cumulative total on the assistance portion here on the right will display that value. Also, as we'll take a look at later, your agency can generate much more detailed reports for what your specific contributions have been to this dashboard. In short, we just wanted to show the impact of your food bank network here each and every day, and these numbers are increasing all the time. Below the dashboard, you'll find the bulletin board section. It's found below this red bar that goes from left to right. There's a button that says Add Bulletin that you can click to add a bulletin, and then below that red bar, you can see any past bulletins that were entered. This is a communication tool. Food bank staff members can post bulletins about upcoming meetings, a change in policy and procedure, or any other sort of notification. Partner agencies can also use the bulletin board to communicate. You could use this to ask a question of either the food bank or partner agencies, or maybe even get a client's specific needs met if there's a unique situation that you encounter. Any bulletin that's posted can include an email notification. So when the bulletin is added to the bulletin board section here, it displays below this red bar, but it also sends out an email notification. So if you're not logged into Oasis at the time, you can still see that notification in your email inbox. On the right of any of these bulletins, there is a place to post a comment. Comments allow for two-way communication. The agent that first posted the bulletin will see the comments that are added and they can reply to them. We see an example of a bulletin here, Food Bank event next Friday. Any details about the bulletin are found below. The agent from what agency that posted the bulletin is also listed. Let's say that a client came into my food pantry seeking assistance, and in that conversation they explained that their refrigerator no longer worked in their home. Well, if my food pantry was unable to donate a refrigerator to that client, we could use the bulletin board to communicate and see if there's another organization nearby that might be able to help meet that need. In this example, we would click the Add Bulletin button here. On the screen that appears, we'd enter a title and a description. Any bulletin can also have an expiration date. This will automatically remove the bulletin from the bulletin board on that certain date that you set. This is optional. In this example, I don't need an expiration date. If this bulletin were about a meeting, it might be helpful to have an expiration date, so it automatically removes this from the bulletin board after the meeting has taken place. Below that, I can opt to send out an email notification to all agencies or not. This checkbox is checked by default. I can uncheck that if I don't want an email to be sent out. Also, I can attach a document. If there was a meeting agenda or a sign-up sheet or a flyer that I wanted to attach to this bulletin, I would just click Browse, find the file on my computer, and attach it. When I'm done adding the bulletin, I click the Add Bulletin button. Here we see the bulletin that I just added. If anyone wanted to post a comment to reply to my bulletin, they could do that over here on the right by clicking Post the First Comment. We hope that you find the bulletin board to be a helpful tool there at your agency. The next tab to visit is the blue My Agency tab up in the top right. Whatever type of organization you represent, whether you are a faith-based pantry or a nonprofit, government agency, we use the term agency to represent your organization. Your agency's name will be listed on this tab, as well as your contact information. This information is visible to both food bank staff and any other participating partner agencies on your network, so please be sure your agency's contact information, hours of operation, mission statement, and so forth is all up to date. You can update this information by clicking the blue Edit Agency Information link to the right. Here is also where we manage the agents at your agency. We can see below this red bar that says Agents that my agency only has one staff member, Kyle Minkler. I can add new agents, additional staff members, or volunteers that need access to Oasis by clicking the Add Agent button. Please note that you'll only see the Add Agent button if you are designated as the administrator of your particular agency. To add an agent, you click this button, and on the screen that appears, you put in the name and contact information for that staff member. You can choose to give this staff member a password, or if you leave it blank, when Joey is emailed his welcome email, he can set up his own password on that screen. Once you add a new agent, to the right of any agent's name, you can change their password. Also, you can click Edit. The Edit screen allows you to change the role of the agent. A role is simply the permissions that that particular agent has access to. If you're an agency administrator, you can do this for any agents at your agency. I can make Joey an agency administrator alongside me by clicking this radio button. Any agents, when they're first added, will default to the role Agent. To add additional agents, we click the Add Agent button over and over again until all our agents are set up. The My Agency tab has these black sub-tabs that we'll come back to a little bit later. The third tab you'll see in the top right is called Agencies. Agencies is a directory of all the partner agencies on your network. Your network administrator at the food bank determines what partners have access to the system. You'll see an alphabetical list of all the partners here, and if we wanted to see the contact information for a specific agency, like Do Unto Others, we can click on their name to get their contact information displayed on the screen. There's also a sub-tab called Agents. Remember, an agent is a staff member or volunteer from any agency on the network. Here's an alphabetical list of all the agents in our network. I'm going to click back to the Home tab now, and I'd like to get into the main features of the system at this time. If you'll bring your attention to the left side of the screen, you'll see the Search and Add New Case buttons. Really, everything in Oasis Insight is centered around a person, a client, someone that comes to you seeking assistance, and you provide that assistance to them. Each client or case will have their own case file in the database. It's like a file in a filing cabinet. Every person has their own unique case file, and you can use the search button in the left to search for that client's case file and open it on the screen. If you search and you find that client's case, you can review the information that's there and add new details today under that case. If you search and you don't find that case, you click the Add New Case button on the left. Below Search and Add New Case, there's a list of recent cases and a list of recent searches. These recent lists are unique to me, Kyle Minkler. It will show me the last few cases that I visited and also a list of the recent searches that I performed in the system. If I don't want to see my list of recent cases or searches, I can click this little triangle out to the right and it will collapse these screens if I don't want them visible. Let's do a quick example to show how these tools work. Let's say today our food pantry is distributing food and a client comes to us named John Smith. The first thing we want to do is click Search on the left, and in the simple search bar that appears to the right, we'll type in John's first and last name. You could press Enter on your keyboard or click the search button out to the right, and below your search terms you'll see a list of possible matches below. The most relevant match will be there at the top, and it will highlight in yellow what matches your search terms that you entered. We do have an exact match. There is a client named John Smith in the database. If we're not sure, or we had a lot of clients with case files named John Smith, we could use the Advanced Search button on the right side of the screen. Advanced Search allows you to search by more than just name. You could search by other identifiers, maybe a name and a date of birth combination, or street address, phone number. In this Advanced Search, I'm going to search both by name, John Smith, and date of birth. In the results of the advanced search, we do have an exact match both by name and by date of birth. Once we're confident that we found the case we're working with today, we just click on his or her name to open up their case file. On the right side of this case file, you'll see some colored tabs: Personal Info, Assistance, Relationships, Notes, and Alerts. Each of these colored tabs relates to John in some way. Let's take a look at each of these sections. Personal Info is first. You'll see the name of the client in this upper green bar, and below that you'll see an overview of the client. Any basic information that was collected on the client when the case was entered in will be displayed here on this Personal Info screen. Additional information like income, expenses, gender, ethnicity, education level, employment status are all displayed on the screen. Your Personal Info screen may look a little bit different than this depending on what fields your food bank has set up. If we needed to edit or update any of John's information, we could do that. We click the Edit Case link here at the top. For example, if John shared that his cell phone is no longer working, we could remove that cell phone from this screen. We click Edit Case, and here we have the Edit Case screen where we can make adjustments. I'll scroll down to the phone numbers section and check the checkbox that says Delete next to John's cell. In real time, John's case file is updated. If any edits are made on this case, there is a History of Modifications section found below this black bar. It will say what agent from what agency modified the case, and when that modification took place. Also, what was deleted or edited or changed under the client's case. You can go back and see any modifications that were made there under the History of Modifications section. The next tab on the right is called Assistance. The Assistance tab is where we can go to see any assistance that's been provided to John, our client, in the past. We can see a number 9 there. The 9 represents 9 times in the past John or someone in John's household, like a spouse or roommate, have been assisted. The most recent of those 9 assistance records will always be at the top of the screen. We never have to dig down through the information to see the most recent assistance record. We'll review what assistance has been provided to John in the past. Most recently, Kyle from My Food Pantry, back in May of this year, provided 1 box/bag valued at $12 from the category Food Pantry Box. Prior to that, in April of this year, Kyle from My Food Pantry also provided 2 boxes bags, each valued at $10 each, for the category Senior Box. And we could go back in time further if we wanted to. But based upon what we see here, we could then make a decision how we're going to serve John. To record an assistance record, we click the Add Assistance button here in this upper orange bar. Here on the Add Assistance screen, we can get very detailed as to what specific assistance we rendered to John today. Each assistance record is made up of an amount, a unit, and a category. Today we're going to provide John with 2 boxes bags from our food pantry. In the amount box, we'll set that to 2. We open up the unit drop-down on the right. We can see boxes bags is already selected. This is the default unit for this site. Your default might be different. We can change whatever the unit is for this assistance record depending on what assistance we're providing. If we were providing meals from a soup kitchen, we would select the unit meals. If we provided pounds of food from our pantry and tracked everything in poundage, we'd choose the unit pounds. Below that, we need to select a category. It's very important that we select a category that best represents the assistance we provided today. Your list of categories might look a little different than this, again, depending on what your food bank has set up, but we can see here under the food section we have related food categories that we can select from. We also see here seasonal related categories. I'm going to select Food Pantry Box from the list. In the description box, we can get more detailed if we want. We can also change the date and time, but it will always grab today's date and time and display that on the record. We could attach a file. A document can securely be stored here. Depending on your network's privacy settings, you can determine whether this assistance record is visible to all the agencies on your network or only visible to the agents at your agency. If you selected visible to my agency, only you and your staff would see this particular assistance record. If we left it the default visible to all agencies, anyone would see that. Some Oasis networks have privacy settings in place where no assistance records are shared. If that's how your system's set up, you won't be able to change the visible to setting. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to your network administrator. At the bottom, I can click Add or save and add another if there was another type of assistance we provided today as well. I'll just click Add. In real time, we can see the assistance record recorded under John's Assistance tab. You may have noticed that this assistance section shows not only assistance provided to John, the client that we're working with today, but also it defaults to showing all assistance provided with people living with John as well. The relationship section on the right is where we manage those relationships between household members. When we served John today, we actually impacted a household made up of 4 people: John, his wife Jessica, a daughter named Sally Jones, and then a cousin named Tommy Smith who also lives at this address. All of our reports will reflect not only the number of clients or cases that we serve directly, like John, but also household totals. Our report would show one household served made up of 4 people. Those 4 people would be broken down into age ranges: children, adults, and seniors. If we needed to manage any relationships in this household, we could do so. To the right of anyone's name, there's an edit or delete link. If John no longer had a relationship with a particular client, you could delete it altogether, or the edit link might be more appropriate. Let's say that John's cousin Tommy no longer lives at this address with John, Jessica, and Sally. We could click the edit link to the right of Tommy's name, and on the screen that appears, we could adjust the relationship between the 2 people. We'll say John is still Tommy's cousin and Tommy is still John's cousin. But what has changed is found below. Tommy is no longer a dependent of John, and they no longer live at the same address. Both of these checkboxes would need to be unchecked to change the relationship between John and Tommy, so Tommy will be moved out of this household at 123 Apple Lane and moved into his own household with no address. We'll see that Jessica and Sally still are marked as living with John Smith, but Tommy is only listed as related to. They're still linked together, however, Tommy is not under the household with John, Jessica, and Sally. If Tommy were to move back in, we could click Edit and change that where he does again live with them. To add a new relationship, we click the Add Relationship button at the top, and we'll come back to that later. The next tab on the right is called Notes. Pretty straightforward. We can record a note under a client's case by clicking the Add Note button at the top, or view other notes there. To add a note, we click this button and we record our note. If we had a conversation with John and wanted to add a note, but we didn't want this note to be visible to anyone else outside of our agency, we may want to change the privacy setting from visible to all agencies to say visible to my agency. When I click Add Note, this note will still be added, but only our staff would see this particular note. The last tab on the right is called Alerts. If there was an important situation in John's life that you wanted to bring to the attention of anyone else that may work with John's case in the future, you should add an alert. Perhaps the situation is John had a large house fire a few days ago and is in need of a lot of help. Well, we could alert anyone else that works with John about his house fire by clicking the Add Alert button. We enter in our alert. We can opt to send out an email notification along with the alert, but unlike the bulletin board we saw earlier, this actually defaults to not sending out an email. We can click Add Alert when we're done. Whenever someone searches for John's case in the future and opens up their case, the red alert section is the very first section that appears on the screen. You could heed the alert if it applies to you, or if it doesn't, you could just continue on to another colored section over on the right. Below the Alerts tab, there's just 3 little links. Edit Case allows you to edit the case information, very similar to what we did earlier under the Personal Info screen. Flag Case allows you to notify your network administrator. If there was a possible duplicate case, or you entered a case by mistake, you can click Flag Case and your network administrator can remove the case or merge 2 cases together. Case Report is like a printout of everything that's in the system. If you wanted to print out a report for just the client John Smith, you could use the Case Report tool to do that. I'm going to click back to the white Home tab. Very often, you'll encounter a situation where you'll search for a client's case and it's not found in the database. If you search and you don't find the case you're looking for, you'll click the Add New Case button on the left to enter in a brand new case for the client. I'm going to click the Add New Case button, and on the screen that appears, we're going to fill out as much information about the client as we have. Please note that some fields like first name and last name are required. They have a red asterisk next to them. You're not able to add a new case until these required fields are satisfied. I'm going to add a brand new case using my family as an example. Let's say my client's name is Kyle Minkler. You'll notice all of the fields, you can click in them with your mouse or use the tab key on your keyboard to tab between each field. Some of the fields like phone numbers and identification numbers, you can add more than one by clicking this little blue link below each field. We could add a brand new case by clicking the Add Case button when we're done. But please note that there's additional information that can be recorded under this Add New Case screen. You may see an arrow out to the right. This little triangle button, if I click it with my mouse, will go to the second of the Add New Case dialog screens. We have the identification section, which we just were on. Basic identifying information for the client is collected here. The second tab, Income and Expenses, is where income and expense information is recorded. Again, we can click Add Case at the bottom or continue to the third tab, Demographics, either by clicking this tab at the top or the arrow in the bottom right. Demographics are additional details set up by your food bank to capture information that may be helpful for you for reporting later on. This list of demographics can be adjusted if you see anything that you'd like to change. Just reach out to your food bank staff. I'll now click the Add Case button. Here we have a brand new case entered in for the client Kyle Minkler. Just to recap, the first step is to always search. Step 2, if you don't find that case in the search results, you click Add New Case on the left. Step 3 is to click to the Relationships tab on the right and add any other household members in that family. Let's say Kyle here has a wife named Sadie and a son named Henry. We need to add both Sadie and Henry under the Relationships tab. We click either the Add Relationship button or Create a Relationship. And on the screen that appears, we'll fill out some basic information about these household members. If there was additional household members, we could add them here or click Add Another Household Member to open up an additional row of household members. When you're done, click Save. Now we've added a household made up of Kyle, Sadie, and Henry, 3 people. The final step would be to go under the Assistance tab and record an assistance record for whatever was provided to Kyle and his family today. Now for Kyle's assistance record, let's say that the category of assistance that we've selected requires a digital signature. If we have a category of assistance, for example USDA distribution, that does require a signature, when you add this assistance record, it will prompt the client to sign for the assistance below. The client can sign using a mouse on your computer, a digital signature pad that plugs into the USB port of your computer. Even a tablet or a touchscreen device can capture a signature on behalf of a client. Kyle will sign on the screen and then click the green Submit Signature button. Here we can see the assistance record is captured just like before, but this particular type of assistance did require a signature, and we can see that here. When you added this new household, you may have noticed a yellow bar at the top of the case speaking about a release of information form. This message is a reminder that a release of information form, or ROI, is required to share anything about the client with any other organization outside of yours. We want to make sure that the client does consent and is aware that their basic information as well as assistance information may be shared with others on Oasis Insight. Blank copies of the release of information form can be found under the Add New Case screen, and in the top right there's a blue link that says Release of Information Form. This will open in a new tab or a new window a blank copy of the release form if you'd prefer to have this filled out by hand with an ink pen. The client will review the top portion and fill out their information. Also, they'll include any household dependents there, sign in the bottom left, and then the agency representative from your agency would also sign and date in the bottom right. When we head back to Kyle's case, we see this yellow bar reminds us that an ROI has not been satisfied on this case yet. We need to click the Create New ROI button in this yellow bar. This first screen shows today's date, the date that the ROI was signed, and also includes all the cases in that household. That one release form covers everyone in the entire household. We click Next. We see the release form, but this time it's filled out specifically with Kyle Minkler, the client's information. A little bit further down, all household dependents are listed there in that section, and then in the bottom left, the client can sign and also the agency representative. With the Plus version of Oasis Insight, a digital signature can be captured by the client. A client can click here with the mouse, touch screen on a tablet or mobile device to capture the signature. Select Click here for digital signature, and the signature can be captured. And we'll click Submit Signature at the bottom. The agency representative would also click on the right, sign, and save. The last step is to click Verify ROI. We could also print this out if we'd like, but clicking Verify ROI saves a digital version of the ROI in the system and also confirms that we have one on file. Click OK on that screen. Now at the top of any case, if we ever need to see what agent at what agency got the ROI signed in the past, we can click the Show ROI link here in the top in this upper green bar. It shows which agent from which agency verified the release form and when that was done. You may be an agent at an agency that sees a high volume of clients in a short period of time. For example, your pantry might open its doors and have a line of clients out the door, and you'd likely want to get those people in and out as fast as possible. There's a couple options in Oasis Insight that might best serve you. One tool we've developed is called Add Multiple Assistants. What you're able to do is generate a report, which is essentially a client roster. It shows a list of all the clients that you've served in the past in alphabetical order. This client roster is generated under the Reports tab here under the My Agency section. Using a printed copy of this roster, what you're able to do is make a check mark or write a number to the left of each of the clients that were served that day during the distribution. We could use this unique case number that's generated out of the system to add multiple assistants to reflect all of the clients that were served in that day. To access the Add Multiple Assistants tool, we visit our My Agency tab and then click on the Assistants subtab. Here to the right, we click the Add Multiple Assistants button. On the screen that appears, on the left side, we'll set up whatever the assistance was that was provided to everyone that day. Usually, you can group the assistants together by number of boxes or bags. Let's say everyone we served with one box bag, we'll enter them in right now. On the left, we enter an amount of 1, the unit boxes bags in this example, and then the category will be food pantry box. Change the date and time on the assistance record to reflect when the assistance was actually provided, let's say today at 10 a.m. And then on the right side of the screen, we'd read off of the client roster everyone that received one box of food today. And we'd enter in that unique case number here on the right. Below, we'll see a list of all the clients that received one box today. Then we click Add Assistance. All of the clients listed on that previous screen now have an assistance record associated with their case. We could repeat that again by clicking Add Multiple Assistants, this time for everyone that received 2 boxes bags from the food pantry. On the right, we enter in those clients' case numbers. And then click Add Assistants. We hope that you find the Add Multiple Assistants tool to be helpful at your organization. One other tool that we've developed is called barcode scanning. Barcode scanning is also a tool you might find helpful here in the Oasis Insight Plus service. With barcode scanning, you can print client ID cards without the need to purchase expensive hardware. You can open client files with a single scan and also add assistance records with a single scan. Using a barcode scanner will drastically decrease the time it takes to enter data. Let's take a look at how barcode scanning works. We'll start by taking a photo for a client. Over here on the right side of each client's case file, there's a rectangle, and in it says Add Photo. On the window that appears, you can choose to use My Webcam if you have a webcam associated with your computer, or upload an image that's already been saved on your computer. I'll select Use My Webcam so you can see who you've been listening to today. Next, we'll print off a client ID. We can either do this one by one, client by client, or print out a batch of all the ID cards in alphabetical order. We scroll down on the bottom right side of the screen until we see the Print ID Card link. Here we see an image of the ID card for John Public. In the top right, we can click the Print button to print off a copy. That would print to just a normal printer with paper or cardstock. Or we have an option to download an image of the ID card. That image can be used by an ID card printer if you have one. Once the card has been printed, let's take a look at the process. Let's say a client comes to visit us and we're on the Home tab. I can use the barcode scanner that's plugged into the USB port on my computer and scan a client's ID card. And it will quickly open up the case. Now, if we have multiple clients at our pantry, the barcode mode button on the left can be helpful in these situations. But before we use the barcode mode button, we want to visit our blue My Agency tab to set up a list of assistance barcodes. We click to the My Agency tab and then the Barcodes sub-tab. Here, for each type of assistance that our agency provides, we can set up a corresponding barcode. To add a new barcode, we click the Add Barcode button on the right side of the screen. On the window that appears, we'll type a name for our barcode, choose a category, and also set a default amount and unit every time that barcode is scanned. Once we have all of our barcodes listed, we need to click the Print Barcodes button. Now we can print off all of these barcodes on a sheet of paper, and this piece of paper will be sitting right next to our computer, either on a bulletin board or in a binder right next to our computer. So we can easily scan this barcode for whatever type of assistance a client receives. We can print this off by clicking the print button in the top right. We click the barcode mode button on the left, and this screen shows that Oasis is ready to scan the first client's ID card. The client comes up to our computer and presents the ID card, and we scan it using the barcode scanner. A summary of the client's information is displayed above. Next, we need to scan the barcode associated with each type of assistance that was provided today. We'll say John received a box from our food pantry, as well as a community kitchen meal. We click the green Confirm Assistance button, and the assistance is added. We can check the box on the barcode mode screen up in the top left corner that says open this window whenever a barcode is scanned. This will help us by allowing us to scan multiple ID cards without having to click back and forth through the screens. Let's say a client named Sally Jones comes up to the computer, we scan her card, and then we scan what she received. We click Confirm Assistance, and we remain on this barcode mode screen because this checkbox is checked, so we can scan when George Gilbert, the next client, arrives at our computer. As we looked at a little earlier, some categories of assistance may require a digital signature. Digital signatures can be captured using the barcode mode just the same. We scan the client's ID, and then we scan the barcode connected to the digital signature. In this example, it'll be USDA distribution. When we click Confirm Assistance, if a signature is required, the next screen that appears is the digital signature window. Now that we've looked at both the Add Multiple Assistance tool and the barcode scanning tools, I'd like to explore some other helpful features found under the blue My Agency tab. Under the My Agency tab, you'll see some black sub-tabs. We looked at General earlier. The next tab to the right is called Cases. Cases is simply a reference list to show all the cases that have been entered in by your agency. Any of these cases are of course searchable using the search button on the left. The next tab, Assistance, shows all assistance provided by your agency. This is also where we used the Add Multiple Assistance tool earlier. The next tab, Categories. This is where you can add to the list of master categories set up by your food bank. Your network administrator sets up a list of categories. If there's any categories that your agency may need to use that aren't in the list, you can click the Add Category button on the right. Or you could reach out to your network administrator to see if there's any other categories they might want to add for everybody. Barcodes is where we set up those barcodes for each assistance category if you are using the barcode mode features. And then lastly, the Reports sub-tab. Each agency in Oasis can generate reports specific to what they've contributed to the database. I can click on the blue My Agency tab for my organization, my food pantry, and click on the Report sub-tab and see several different types of reports that can be generated. Any of these report types here are looking at a specific piece of information in the database. For example, if I wanted a list of all the cases that my agency has served, I can use the Cases report because this will look at just cases created by my agency, whether I've served them or not. The Assistance report type will look at any assistance provided. If you recall, under a Client's Assistance tab, whenever you record a new assistance record, that gets added to the system. The Assistance report type is looking at assistance. No matter what type of report you choose, it's a two-step process to get the information out. Let's say we want to run an assistance report for the month of May 2016. We'll click on the Assistance report type. On this first step of the two-step process, in the top right, we can choose a format for our report. There's three format types: list, table, or CSV. CSV format is like an Excel file. You could download this assistance report to your computer and open it up and work with it using Microsoft Excel or a similar spreadsheet program. Table and list are two quick, simple format types that will get you your information fast. Table is a little more condensed than list. Table is a little more printer friendly. List is a little more expanded. I'm going to select the table format for my report. Also on this first step, I have this list of filters that I can choose from. I can use one or more of these filters to narrow down my report based upon certain criteria. I'm going to use the filter by date of assistance and focus on just the month of May. I can narrow this down further by a specific assistance category. I can select just the assistance categories I wish to report on. Or, if I don't use any of the filters, it will include all categories. When we're done, we click Next. That concludes the first of the two-step process. On the second step, here at the top, we can order our assistants. We can choose oldest to newest, newest to oldest. We can even sort by a certain category of assistants. Or I like alphabetical order, which is what you have when you select case name. Below that, we have different fields that can be displayed on the final report. If you want that field to be displayed, you check the checkbox to the left of it. If you do not want it to be displayed, you can uncheck the checkbox and all corresponding data related to that field will not be displayed. If I do want a summary, I will leave it checked, and below that we have all our summary related fields that I can use my mouse to pick and choose what's going to help me the most. The assistance table section here is going to show details as to what makes up this summary section. The table will show row by row by row each assistance record. Any detail about the assistance record, again, I can pick and choose using my mouse to include or exclude certain fields. When I'm done, I'll click the View Report button at the bottom. This is our assistance report for the month of May. We can see here at the top that I chose to include report filters, so we see that the report was focusing on the month of May 2016. Below the report filters, we have our summary. I chose to include dollar assistance as well as the total number of units, boxes, bags. You could also include pounds, items, to reflect any units that are being distributed by your agency. Below that, the total number of households assisted is displayed in the summary. We see that for the month of May, our agency served 3 households made up of a total of 10 people. We impacted 10 household members in 3 households this month. Above that, we can see broken down by age ranges the number of children, adults, and seniors that were in those households. Below that, there are no new households that were assisted for the first time this month. Below this blue bar that goes from left to right, we can see the table portion of our report. Row by row, we can see each assistance record that was rendered for the month of May. If we clicked on the name of any of these clients, we could open up their case file directly from the report. You may note that the columns that are selected here on the table directly correspond with the checkboxes on the last reporting dialog. If we really like this report, we can print it out. In the top right corner, there's a print report button. You could print this to paper, or if you have a PDF printer on your computer, you could print this to a PDF file. I'm going to click Go Back. Now, if we really like this report and we wanted to save it, we do have a section under our Reports sub-tab here called Saved Reports. Any recent report that we generated will be listed here under our Recent Reports list. We'll see the 10 most recently ran reports from our agency. The most recent will be here at the top. I could click the blue link to access the report that we just saw a moment ago. Or, to the right, I can click Add to Saved Reports. The Add to Saved Reports link moves the recently ran report under our Saved Reports section. We can see that here. To the right of any report, I can click Edit to change the name of the report or any of the reporting parameters. I can copy to make a duplicate of the report. Maybe if I wanted to save one report and create a duplicate for next month, I could click Copy to do that. Or Delete to remove the saved report. If I wanted to rename this report Kyle's Favorite Monthly Report or something like that, I would click Edit, rename the report, And then in the description box, I can put a little more detail if I wish. At the bottom, I click Save and Continue and follow the prompts. The first prompt will allow us to change the format or any of the filters that we used on the original report, but it remembers everything we did before. Next screen, we can make small adjustments to any of the fields that we checked or unchecked, and then click Save and View Report to look at it, or Save and Close. To use the Add Multiple Assistants tool most effectively, a client roster that includes the client name and a unique case ID number is needed. To generate a client roster for your agency, you'd likely want to start with the Cases report type. A Cases report is to be printed out so that it can be used during a distribution. I would suggest selecting one of those formats that make it most printer friendly, such as Table or CSV. I'll select Table. We could filter by any of the criteria by expanding any of the filters, but I'm just going to click Next. We likely want the roster in alphabetical order by case name or head of household name to make it very easy to find in a hurry. Below that, commonly you'll uncheck the report filters and uncheck the case summary box, leaving only the cases table and corresponding fields below. It's important that the case number is included on a roster because that's the piece of information that's used on the Add Multiple Assistants tool. Select case full name, maybe date of birth, street address, phone number, any other details that would be helpful for reference. Here's an example of a client roster. If our client Aaron Abbott was served today, we would mark on the roster with a pen or pencil and then use the Add Multiple Assistants tool in Oasis later on using the case number as the reference. I could print this roster out by clicking Print Report in the top right, or I can save this under my Saved Reports section. Find that recently ran report and click Add to Saved Reports on the right. The report is displayed here at the top of my Saved Reports section. I can edit it to rename it or change any details about the roster. Follow each of the prompts on your saved report and click Save and Close or Save and View. Whenever I need to print out a new client roster, I can just click this link and it will reopen that roster at any time. If you're using barcode scanning, you may want to print out all of your client ID cards in a batch. You'll likely see a saved report that looks very similar to what we see here. Multiple ID cards Avery 8371. This is a custom-built report that our Oasis Insight development team created so that an agency could print out all of their client ID cards using the Avery business card template 8371. Whenever I want to rerun my multiple ID cards report, I click the edit link on the right, follow through the prompts, and it says Save and Request Updated File. When I do that, this report will run in the background in your Oasis. You can continue using the system while this report generates, and you'll be notified via email when it's ready to go. When it's ready, click on the link and you can save the file to your computer. Your report will likely look something like this. Each client's ID prints out on the Avery business card template. If you need any assistance with this or you don't see the multiple ID card saved report under your report section, please reach out to the Oasis Insight support team and we can help you get started. That concludes the report section of our demonstration. At this time, there's a few buttons above these colored tabs in the top right that I'd like to leave you with. Feedback. Feedback is a way to send a message directly to our Oasis Insight support team. If you have a question, a suggestion, or experiencing technical difficulty, our support team is available to help you. Just click the feedback button, type your message, and that will go directly to us here at Oasis. Help. I encourage you to visit our online help center. Here you'll find our toll-free support phone number, 888-764-0633, as well as our email address, support@oasisinsight.net. Additionally, there's video tutorials. You can download a user guide. Frequently asked questions are here in our Help Center as well. The Contact Admin button to the right is a way for you to reach out to your network administrator. The primary administrator for your network can be contacted by using this button. You can type a message and that will be sent directly to that person. Lastly, Log Out. When you click the Log Out button, it will bring you back to the Login screen. Please note that you will be logged out of the system after a period of inactivity. If you get up from your computer for lunch, for example, and you forget to log out, Oasis will automatically log you out of the system, and you will have to re-enter your email address and password after a certain period of time. Well, that concludes our demonstration of Oasis Insight. I hope you found that to be helpful, and please know we're here with you every step of the way should you need assistance.
Thanks, Kyle. If there is ever a question or a need for a further explanation of one of the features, please contact us using the information on the screen. From all of us here at Simon Solutions, the creator of Oasis Insight, a sincere thank you for your faith in our service.